Okay, hi everyone. My name is Katherine. I'm a sophomore and I'm the exec for professional development. And as part of like the exec talks, I thought I would give you guys like a little bit of background into like different research opportunities that Stanford has, my own research journey, and how you can get more information on that. Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about how I got into research here, how to find research, whether it's like cold emailing or like applying to programs, some more opportunities, mostly for the summer, and then some more resources to help you stay connected. Yeah, so I started doing research at Stanford when I was in high school. I worked at the Snyder Lab in the genetics department, where I worked a lot on like DNA sequencing and its relationship to cancer. And then when I came to Stanford, I switched labs because my postdoc left. And now I'm working at the Gao Lab, which is in the Department of Biochem. And I'm working with bacteria and proteins, and it's been really fun. Yeah, and last year when I was an intern with professional development, I organized like a research panel. I invited a lot of people involved in research, different PIs, as well as medical students. And we hosted like a panel. And then I also made like a PDF of like a guide to research opportunities at Stanford. It'll be on the resource drive, but maybe I can also share the presentation and the PDF as well. It has a lot of really cool resources on it. Yeah, and so this is kind of how to find research at Stanford. There's a lot of types. There's experimental, which is what I'm working on right now. It's like a lot of wet lab, pipetting, all that stuff. There's also computational. It's like more bioinformatics, and it's easier for people who maybe who want to work remotely and stuff like that. There's also more clinical research where you'll get to work with clinical trials and talk to patients and stuff. And then also social science research. I don't have as much background in that, but it's also definitely a really cool avenue of research that you can explore. And then for finding research, I think one of the most popular ways at Stanford is applying for research programs, which I will talk about a bit later. Additionally, it's really good to just explore faculty and labs, attend their seminars and talks, and try to network with your peers and mentors. If you're taking like chem or you're taking bio, it's really good to talk to your professors after class, attend office hours and stuff, and ask how you can be involved if you're interested in the research. Because if you're a student, I think they're a lot more likely to like welcome you and be more willing to talk to you about the research. Yeah, and then as always, email professors, postdocs or grad students. A lot of times professors are really busy, so I recommend emailing postdocs and grad students directly because they're a lot more likely to reply, and it's easier to schedule like meetings with them. Yeah, here's a cold email template that Kristen, the exec for outreach and activism, created last year. It's a really good template, and I guess you can read over it later, but some of the most important aspects are to make it very personalized, like be sure to talk about the professor's own research, maybe some of the papers you've read, attach your resume or credentials, as well as just saying like, oh, I'm a sophomore at Stanford, I'm a freshman, I've done previous research or I haven't done previous research, but I'm really interested in this area. And stuff like that. And then read recent papers from the lab or recent news, and be prepared to ask a couple of questions if either during the email or if they want to schedule a meeting with you, just to show that you have interest and you've done research on the lab. And then, as always, be prepared to talk about why you want to join and what specifically about the lab or the lab environment or people interest you. Yeah, and I compiled a couple research opportunities at Stanford. These are some of like the most popular ones. So if you're interested in more like biology research, there's BioX. Unfortunately, I think the application was due a couple days ago, but some of the other programs are still open. BioX is really nice because they offer you like an 8K stipend during the summer to work. So that'll cover like your tuition and not tuition, sorry, housing and food. I did BioX this summer, and there's also a BioE research experience for undergrads. I don't think you have to specifically be in the BioE program, but it's like an REU, so they'll also give you money. BSERP is also a really popular program. They also provide a stipend. I've heard really good things about it. And then lastly,
BSERP application is due today.
Today,
if anyone is interested.
Yeah. And then the neuroscience undergraduate research opportunity. I think this is like a bit of a newer fellowship, but it's a smaller cohort and I've heard it's very individualized and and then for some more like clinical programs, if you're interested in clinical research, there's the Canary Crest program. One of my friends did it last summer, and it's a lot of research on cancer. And there's also the Stanford Cardiovascular Institute if you're interested in like cardiovascular research. The Stanford Chairman Program Summer Research, I think that's more of a generalized research program. And then Stanford Laboratory for Cell and Gene Medicine. That's more like genetics stuff. And then something that's really useful is if you apply to these programs and you don't get in, or maybe the deadline's over, a lot of departments will have VPUE sponsored departmental grants. So they'll be able to pay you for working in their lab during the summer. And then if you've already declared a major, which probably none of you guys have yet, but it's good to keep in mind for future years, you can also do a VPUE sponsored major grant. So both of these will give you stipends to work over the summer so you can live here and stuff. And it doesn't have to be through a specific program. Yeah, and that's essentially the end of my presentation, but I wanted to attach a ton of resources. So the Stanford Summer Programs is a link that will just take you to all the summer programs that Stanford has to offer, both like research related and not. This is the research pamphlet that I made last year. That's a link to it. These are some screenshots of programs during the summer that are more geared toward pre-med and pre-health professions. And these are the mailing lists that I think are really useful for like human biology, and other research related resources. There's like biointerest, which is for the biology major, Buzz, which is the HumBio Buzz, pre-med at Ponza, Stanford pre-med, and then Stanford Women's, I think are the main pre-med mailing lists. And then I don't know if you guys have joined the Canvas already, but there's a really helpful pre-med Canvas. The Google Doc right there, it's a form to fill out, like an in order to be added to the Canvas. But here there'll be discussions if you have any questions about classes or like MCAT preparation. And there will be like announcements regarding summer programs, also like talks given for like medical school applications. So I think it's a really, really useful resource. Next. Yeah, and then this is from last summer, but a lot of these still apply. So for example, this Stanford pre-med mailing list sent out this really curated PDF of a ton of opportunities. There's like external programs like the Red Cross internship, UCSF research programs, and there's also programs at Stanford like the CREST program, BioX, Neuro Fellowship. So I would definitely recommend checking these out. There's a ton of programs that if you don't get into BioX or BSurf or some of the other popular ones, these are also really great. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you guys so much.